Alright, Arsenal have drawn with Brentford at the Emirates, and maybe it has been the Champions League win hangover against Real Madrid that has gone ahead, obviously lead Arsenal not obviously performing like this. But I tell you, obviously they not eat that. It's really gonna be hard for them to obviously come and compete for the Premier League unless otherwise a miracle befalls. But I tell you, all they have to put their focus on is the Champions League, where they went ahead obviously beat Real Madrid by 3-0 at the Emirates. That was Tuesday this week, and they obviously had to obviously reserve some players and really energy. The lineup was totally changed, and then the manager was like, all right, let's try to obviously see off this game and see to it that on Wednesday we go to Bernabeu and obviously get a result that can obviously give Arsenal a very huge goal into the semi-finals of the Champions League. Smash the like button, comment and share. If you're totally watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rokani David is my name, and here we come to say to it that all is all what you want in here onto the Rokani Media Football. So in the 61st minute, Thomas Partey went ahead obviously score a goal for the club of Arsenal. But remember, earlier in the first half, it was Tierney who went ahead obviously score a goal, and it was ruled offside. You understand? But Arsenal really had very many chances, as you're going to see when the stats really appear up onto your screen. Then later, Wissa went ahead to obviously score a goal. Again, he's one of those players that has gone ahead to obviously humiliate Arsenal a lot at the Emirates. But you saw to it that the body language of the players of Arsenal was not so much concerned at what was happening at that stadium, because all their minds were at Bernabeu. And when Mikel Arteta was asked on whether his players' minds were all about the game of Real Madrid, he really had the following to say. He said, no, I think the players know that when you come to the Premier League and the opposition and the position that we play today, how tough it was going to be and what it requires. And it requires your best every time to win. So that's what he said. And he was like, the opponent they played was really strong. And he was like, the players went ahead to obey what the instructions were and what exactly he told them to do. And there is no reason to obviously doubt the ability or the shift that the players of Arsenal went ahead to put into that fixture when they're obviously playing against a side called Brentford. Brentford is really a tricky side, and it has gone ahead to obviously shock very many big teams this season. And I tell you what, it's really one of those teams that you play it and say, those are clear 3 points. They are not clear 3 points, I tell you. And you have to obviously look through that and really understand it very well, that there will never be 3 clear-cut points in there for you. So they've gone ahead, obviously, put themselves in a proper position of what the world has always gone ahead to know about them. And they've gone ahead to get a draw at the club of Arsenal. Now, Arsenal has done its part, and a draw has come in through, and these are 2 consecutive draws into the mix. Goal coming in from a very, very unusual area. Now, the manager went ahead to obviously make some changes, because the following players never started the game of Real Madrid. Tierney never started. Zinchenko never started. Jorginho never started. Waneri never started. And Leandro Trossard never started. Meaning that he brought in 5 players who never started the game of Madrid. And he went ahead obviously start them in here. And that means he really benched the following players in preparation of that game in Madrid. That is next week. Saka was benched. Martin Odegaard was benched. Julian Timber was benched. Mikel Merino was benched. And Lewis Kelly was also another one that was benched by the manager of Arsenal to see to it that he really puts in a very huge show at the Bernabeu. Now let's go into the stats of the game and how everything panned out in there for you. Then we'll drop down to the table and see where Arsenal is and what it means to Arsenal on whether they will make what we call a guard of honor for Liverpool when they're really winning the league. So Arsenal had 14 shots. Brentford had 3. Arsenal, out of the 14, they had 3 shots on target. Then we had 2 shots on target for the side of Brentford. 64% ball possession by Arsenal, 36% ball possession by Brentford. 400 and 79 passes completed by Arsenal. Then Brentford went ahead to complete 277 passes, right? Then 87% passing accuracy by the club of Arsenal. Then Brentford had 77% passing accuracy. There came in through 7 fouls for the club of Arsenal, and Brentford had 9. 1 yellow card to the club of Arsenal. Brentford had 3. No red cards were issued to either of those sides. 3 offsides to Arsenal. 1 offside to Brentford. 13 corners to the club of Arsenal, and 5 corners to the club of Brentford. That's how things went down at the Emirates Stadium today. Then how does the table really look after that team went ahead to obviously do the needful? Liverpool, 31 games played, they're having 73 points, meaning that they are now 10 points clear ahead of Arsenal, because Arsenal is having 63 points and Nottingham is having 57 points, and Man City won today, they're having 55 points. So that means that Aston Villa is having 32 games played with 54 points. Chelsea 31 games with 53 points, meaning that if at all Chelsea win their game, they'll go in the 4th position. That is Newcastle has 2 games in hand. You know, if you compare them to their competitors, that is Aston Villa and Man City. So Newcastle is playing Manchester United tomorrow. They're having 53 points in there for you. So that's how Arsenal went ahead to play. That means we are left with Arsenal is left with 6 games to go, and they are 9 points. Sorry, they are they are 9 points. They are 8 points off the 4th place team, that is Man City, meaning that if Arsenal gets like 2-3 wins, they would have gone ahead to confirm that they're going to be playing the Champions League next season. And that's something that is not obviously going to be long-lived, because Arsenal is not obviously going to bench its players again after playing against Real Madrid, meaning that the game they're going to be playing next weekend, they'll come full pelt to attack the team that they will be playing against into that mix. Now, there are other teams that went ahead to feature predominantly in the Premier League today. That was Man City, and they really had a galore into that game. If you really remember, first half, I think it ended 2-2. Then they went ahead, obviously coming through and really score all those goals. Southampton were beaten by Aston Villa 3-0, and let's see who was on target. Oli Watkins in the 73rd minute, Daniel Malen 79th minute, John McGinn 90th plus 4th minute. And Southampton is one of those teams that has already gone ahead to be relegated. If you know, you know. Then let's get on to the other side and see how other teams went ahead to do in the Premier League, on how they really featured predominantly. Then Nottingham Forest was beaten by Everton 1-0. That is it. Then tomorrow, Chelsea will obviously open up the day, if at all I'm not mistaken, right? Chelsea opens up the day with Ipswich at 16 hours. Then Wolverhampton Wanderers is obviously going to be hosting Tottenham Hotspur, right? Then Liverpool is going to be hosting West Ham. Newcastle will be hosting Manchester United, and Bournemouth will be entertaining Fulham, I think, at the Vitality Stadium. That's how things are really going to be panning out down there. But for Arsenal, I think all their minds were thinking of the Madrid game. You can all agree with me. They're thinking of the Madrid game, and they are not really looking any behind. And they're like, this is the game for the club of Arsenal to really get a draw and really get through into what we call the into the semi-finals. Even PSG went ahead to beat Aston Villa by 3-1, but they are coming in through in England, and you never know what will happen in there for you. And if I told you Arsenal, would you rather play Aston Villa or PSG? And I tell Arsenal fans, pray for PSG to go through, because Villa can really give you a shocker. You understand? Because it has always gonna hate to do that, and Arsenal's games with Villa have always gonna hate to be tight. But for PSG, I think Arsenal can knock out PSG. I know PSG brought in Kvaratskhelia, and that is the big game changer. But I tell you what, all in all, it will obviously give us vibes after vibes. So guys, thank you very much for watching through. I'm waiting for your reactions into the comment section below. I'm out.